This episode of Reasonably Spontaneous Conversations is brought to you in part by In Search of the New Compassionate Male. For more information, go to newcompassionatemale.com.
Well, Reasonably Spontaneous Conversation, I'm Dennis Tardan. I welcome you, Marty Ingles, and in welcoming you,
I've always wanted to wear sunglasses on an interview.
go right
It's
ahead.
my favorite. I'm fascinated by people who wear sunglasses on camera. It's so cool. I'm just not that cool.
Describe yourself. I want you to introduce yourself as you see yourself.
Me introduce myself?
Yeah, please.
Well, you know, there are two versions that everybody has of themselves. You know that?
All right.
Who they would like to be and who they really think they are.
Yeah.
If I were to say who I really thought I am, perhaps we'd have a therapy session here.
In a
And I
way,
am in
that's what I
therapy.
want. In a way, that's what I want. I want to know your perception of yourself right now.
Well, no. I'll give you both of them, okay?
Hot damn.
I mean, one of them is the showbiz one. Meaning
All
to
right.
say, you could say, Brooklyn-born comedian who went on to certain fame as a comedian, and then, having had it all fall apart, reestablished himself and repieced himself together, and is now the head of a rather large corporation that affects projects from all over the world and puts together things and is on his way to being David Wolper and David Susskind. And isn't that wonderful? Terrific.
All right. That's one. That's one image.
Right. Then there's another one. No, the other one. No, well, the other one, I mean, no one ever asked me that. But they said you would ask me questions no one ever asked. I thought perhaps it'd be in some other language.
Certainly, yeah.
It would be, Puerto Rican.
Bathroom habits or
That's
something
right.
like that.
The other one is young Brooklyn-born human being who was the second of two sons, the first of whom was perfect, and lived for a long time in the shadow of that first son, and really found some negative gaping hole inside of him that needed to be filled, as do all people who contribute begin by having, and went out to find any which way to fill it. And comedy was the perfect thing, because it was the only thing his brother couldn't do, so he went out and found himself, he was a funny guy, and found he could fill it reasonably for a certain amount of years, and then for some strange reason that fell apart and he couldn't fill it, and he just collapsed and started all over again. And now he is trying to fill it and trying not to be Arthur's brother with a new field of endeavor, which he will no doubt succeed in. And when that ceases to serve a purpose, he will fall apart again, and he will be fighting the battle of being Arthur's brother probably till the day he dies, even though that battle is long since over. Arthur is now a chubby dentist on the Grand Concourse who hasn't accomplished much of anything else, but he did begin as Arthur, and that's when the tapes were set, and that's what I'm doing. That's the introduction.
You're right. So I asked
And that was
you,
wonderful. I think I'll put my glasses back on.
all right, so I ask you, what will fulfill whatever it is inside you that is.
No one ever, nothing ever. I mean, that's the.
It doesn't. If it doesn't, why not?
That's the Marilyn Monroe syndrome. That's the Judy Garland syndrome. Nothing ever fulfilled that. They ended up contributing, gifting the world with every great pearl. At least, Garland did, and ended up finding that it was useless because day by day by day, they didn't like themselves to start with. You got to like yourself to begin with.
Then how did you get to, or how are you getting to like yourself?
Well, I'm going to therapy,
Yeah.
which is interesting.
Well, I
because
see you
didn't-
from. Let me look at you from the outside.
You wanna go outside?
From the. No, but I'm looking at you from the outside.
I
and
thought this
see-
was the outside. This
and I
couldn't be.
see-
This isn't actually a studio, is it?
Oh, this.
I'm going to wear my glasses if you keep talking like that. Okay, I'm sorry. Go on. Go on.
You have achieved fame as a comedian. You are married to one of the most glamorous people. So a lot of people would want to be married to a glamorous person. Where you've lived
Glamorous
through
is the
that.
wrong word for her, but anyway.
Sure, I'm only looking at it from the outside, which is going to be extremely superficial.
Okay.
And superficially, you have a fame that you have worked out. You've had money. You've been both rich and poor. You have had
I've been a
contact with
beggar,
lot
a
of-
pauper, a diamond. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were. That's a
and all.
wonderful
So
song.
since you've done all this, you've actually, in a sense, lived a great number of
Oh,
lives
many, many.
during this one life. Is there anything?
None of which were total, otherwise you'd stick with one.
So what are you going to do?
First of all,
that
you remind
Judy
me of my
Garland-
mother sometimes. You know, my mother is always funny because she's guided me through my show business career. When I wanted to be in show business, she used to cut out articles of people that committed suicide and hung themselves and shot themselves and leave them on my desk. I'll never forget that. I wake up in the morning and say, you know, 6 actors were in a mass suicide last Friday. She said, you see, that's what acting is. She was wonderful, my mother. But talk about, you know, she used to remind me about all the misery in the business and why am I going into it. Superficially, that word is what flashed me on my mother's superficial idea. Many lives, yeah. I mean, I don't think of it as many lives. I think of it as many opportunities to start over. The acting thing was successful on the outside. Now let's talk about the inside. I suffered every single moment there. Never had, not only not an wait a minute, let me say that in English, because you can't send away for them, you have to go right down and fit them, otherwise it's terrible. You can't, always the comic. Keeps distance, you know that.
Does it?
Every time you tell a joke, it keeps everybody away from you, it's wonderful.
Does it? I mean, I was interested because at the end of a release that I read about you, and that you said that I haven't told a joke in several years, and since they were talking about, it was almost like there was a difference between being funny and being serious as to your attitude towards life. And I'm not too sure about that.
Well, all comedians use comedy for the same device, you know, which is to basically keep distance. It's a wonderful distance keeper. You come into a room, you tell a joke. You've got them in your fist. You're controlling them.
Sure.
Not only that, you've kept them from you because they don't know about the guts inside. All comedians have a flip side, which is, you know,
It
traditionally
is, Marty,
tragic.
but when you can make someone laugh, and I mean make someone laugh at something that happens or whatever, it's one of the most seductive things I have ever done.
It's wonderful.
In an improv class, and everyone breaks up.
But what's
I
your
don't know,
point? It's a great talent to
higher
have
high.
that. But
Yeah.
but I'm saying that positive talent comes from a negative motivation. But who's to
within you?
Of course. All contribution, I'll go so far as to say, because nobody will come and get me in my house if I say this, right? All I believe that all positive contributions on the earth, the harder it took to achieve them, the worse the pang of pain was to fill it with something. I do not believe that the Jonas Salks of the world were there and contributed what they did because they sat around and said, I think I'll save humanity. I think that he was up until 9 o'clock in the morning for 17 years because it wasn't enough for him to go to a small town and be the town doctor or to go to Beverly Hills and have a big office. I think he needed it. It served some kind of need for him, and it mutually serves the need of humanity and society. And it's the same thing with a comedian. He's a pained, insecure, neurotic person that has never grown up. I mean, traditionally, Red Skelton, Jackie, or Child, or all Jerry Lewis children.
Using a word like never grown up.
Never
is such a
matured.
Matured. Say it another way for me.
Has never found a grown-up way to relate to people. You know, he still needs things, children. You know, what's that thing from the Bible? When I grew up, I threw away childish things. They just never grew up to throw away childish things. So instead of them locking them up somewhere or taking the strange person on the block who stays in his house and plays with Tinker Toys to a large home, they have found a way to go, and when the lights go on, they fall on the floor and put a funny nose on, and the world drops to their knees and worships them. Yeah. You know, that's what usually happens with creative people who have a contribution. If the world goes long enough without understanding you, and it can't talk your language, and you won't give up and learn its language, it falls to its feet, puts you up on top where it doesn't have to communicate with you, you know?
Well, when have you felt, since you skirted the issue so closely there, that in an issue of insanity, have you ever felt like, you're talking about an issue here. You're talking about people not being able to be not even dealing with what it appears. Pardon
you
me.
Okay?
You
want to lay down and talk?
I think I'm going to need.
Was everything okay at home before you got here?
It was wonderful.
Well, you just keep talking.
But you are
call now.
In a way, you're kind of blowing me away because Not in a way. You are completely blowing me away,
Completely.
Marty, because I am watching a complexity here that I know that there's a simplicity that runs through it, and when I mean
Total
a
simplicity.
simplicity that is
Classic, traditional, and certainly I'm not telling you anything new about that pot at the end of the rainbow, which indeed is not really ever there.
I see that pot though, so we're
Where do
looking.
you see, but you see it like my mother sees it. I'll tell you something. This exact.
All right, well, tell me
how she sees it. Right. I'll just show. Someone will shoot themselves in show business, or will do something really ridiculous from a position where you would think they would never be unhappy.
Yes.
My mother will say to me, which is very reflective of what you're saying, I wonder why he did that. He had a wonderful car and a nice home, and she'll be more intelligent about it and say children and a family. I'll say, Ma, what does a nice car have to do with it? I have 6 pair of shoes. Does that make me happy? I mean, it's
So material things aren't going to make it for Marty Ingles.
Or anybody else in the world.
All right, but I don't want to talk about anyone else. Just you.
But that's hardly that's a superficial question.
Not to me.
You mean you really think that if a guy buys himself?
Your input. No, I don't. But I want to know that you have decided, you have learned that material things, no matter how much material things you're going to have, it's not going to be your be-all and end-all. So how did you come to that? I mean, we've been struggling so many times. I will think, oh, if I have such and such, it's going to make me happy. If I have fame or I have this or that, and you've already seen that it isn't going to happen.
Okay, then I guess I have to explain it. Okay. If you are born or you acquire through environment the gift of liking who you are and being satisfied with your place, big if you've got that, then anything you add to yourself is wonderful. You enjoy it for what it is. You love the new shirt. Life is beautiful. You have moments. You don't live in tomorrows and yesterdays. You have nows, and you are a gifted, lucky, precious person. If you are the other kind of person who for some reason does not have that self-esteem, that hasn't found that I like myself place, and is looking for something on the outside to build, the castle on the outside, not inside, then there will never be a thing that will help you. You will go to the rest of your life building outside castles, and in the doing, you may discover radium and 7 other things that will leave great gifts to society and humanity, and they will put you on top of the world and covet as one of the great coveted people. But you ain't ever going to have it inside. So in a way, which do you want? If you want that,
I want both, Marty.
I would rather have the first one. There's no choice. I mean,
No,
there's
no.
no choice. Who wants
I see
it?
no reason.
Because you understand that second guy who hasn't found it inside could end up being president of the world. He still feels just as miserable as when he was 7 years old. The other person, meanwhile, who has found, who likes who he is, has 2 new shirts this week, and he's in 7th heaven.
Yeah.
He's having sex with the whole world, with the air, with the sky, and with himself. And I think that's tremendous and very hard, and I'm not that lucky. Surely, that glamorous person you spoke of, the reason why the word glamour...
Tell me why that...
Because she is that first person. She is incredible. She has moments. She loves every moment for what it is. She never feels anxiety the way most people do, never feels depression on the other side. If they took away her whole business, she'd cry for about a fast 3/4 of an hour. She'd open up a boutique in El Monte, and she'd start all over again. She likes who she is, has always liked who she is. I dare say if she had a struggle for the position she's in now, she'd never be there. It came to her, the world came to her, God gave her a nice voice, and it didn't even give her the drive to have to kill and die for the ambition. She's been very lucky in her life, but more so she's been lucky in whatever genial gift gave her that self-esteem. She likes who she is, and that's rare. Having married me, the balance hanging around the house is like a Marx Brothers movie. You ought to come around sometime.
I know, but when I see her interviewed on television,
very good
when
balance.
she talks about you, she talks about a gentleness that is within you. Do you express like a heavy gentleness within your relationship?
Well, after I crashed, you understand, and I got off the floor, my priorities changed.
Okay.
And the shield was not important to me anymore. And and Shirley was the first person I met after that crash. As a matter of fact, I got off the floor, hobbled to my car, and drove to an art exhibit, not knowing whether I was going to be able to get out and hold on. And I got out of the car, and there was Shirley waiting for her car. Met her that day, and we've never been separated since that day. Spent 2 weeks trying to find her and get her phone number and all the usual Hollywood things to try to court her, which was very, very difficult because the world was protecting her against everybody, including me, and that's another story. But the gentleness was that I decided three very important words. No more games.
Okay.
No more games. I did it. We all do it. No more strategy. I cried. I said, help. I said, I want to hang in with you. Life is rough enough out there as it is. Let's do it together. No more games. New Year's Eve, I had known her 3 weeks. I said, I want to be with you. She said, well, I'm very sad. This New Year's Eve, I'm going to some friends, Jimmy Cagney's house. We're going to just sit around with old friends. Now, 2 thoughts went through my head. One of them said, tell her you have another date now. And the other thought said, hey, tell her the truth. And I said, I'm going to be sitting by this phone all night because New Year's Eve ain't New Year's Eve unless you're with me. If you call me, I'll be here. If not, I'll be sleeping right on the telephone. And 3 o'clock in the morning, she called and said, I'm back and I'm sad. Let's get together. No more games. So in other words, the gentleness just comes out of truth. We're all gentle, you know. In our house, we all love our parakeet. We all feed our cats. We're all nice, and we all wish that the television works and the stove doesn't blow up. We're all soft. Something happens when we get out there in the traffic. We all become barracudas.
I'm not sure I agree with you.
We walk out in the street. We're killing each other out there. You think we're all that bad?
No, we're walking out on the street. I see people smiling at each other.
Wait a minute. Drive
Where
down.
am I? Am I on drugs?
Walk into a crowd and say, excuse me a second, and see how many people let you through. Try to say, excuse me, say, sir, do you have the time? Can you lend me, you have change of, pull into a gas station and ask them for a map one of these days.
Yeah.
Or ask them how to give directions. Tell them just the humans, that all these people at home are gentle, and they're good people, basically. But out there, 9 out of 10 are tough. At home, 9 out of 10 are pretty. Something's happening. There's a transition happening.
What makes that transition? What happens?
Competition, the society we're in now, kill or be killed, the thing, television, the tube, which to me highlights all the sensational garbage and therefore recreates garbage. That's a big problem today. Maybe the system isn't working anymore. It's possible that it ain't working anymore. It's Rome. It's about 4 minutes to the end now. Did you know that?
Yes, I do know it's 4 minutes, but I see it 4 minutes to the end of a whole new age of awakening. A whole new way of looking at each other.
Religious freak person?
Am I? In a way, yeah. In a way, I am.
No, I don't want to put down religion. I don't want to get letters.
Not at all.
Do we have
not
anybody
all
watching?
asking.
I mean, I don't want to get a postcard.
There are 3 people on the west side of Beverly Hills that watch this program religiously and are really anxious to see this.
That's a religious
as a
freak
matter of
right
fact.
there.
Sure. But it seems to me that people are relating to each other in new ways, that we're like Einstein said, I didn't go through my rational mind in order to discover the theories of the universe, and as contemporary scientists thought the man was crazy. In a sense that we have to go to another level of thought. I quoted the wrong quote. I can't believe I did that. What he said was...
You want to start all over again?
May I?
Say hello.
Einstein, hello.
Hi.
Einstein said,
Why don't you
says
speak
he
up?
quoting...
We'll get you a Valium. Be quiet. In a minute, everything will be nice. We'll give you a
May
shower.
I ask you as a comedian,
What?
your impression of a joke that I wrote that nobody likes?
Okay.
All right. There is a Valium-flavored frozen yogurt on a stick.
You say Valium? The
Valium-flavored...
trouble is you don't speak well.
All right.
You see, the joke is wonderful. Your mouth is wrong.
Valium-flavored frozen yogurt on a stick. It's called a whimsical.
Whimsical.
I get that reaction every time.
Or people say the word over
Nothing.
again.
They,
you know
they,
why?
They just...
No, because they're trying to say the word to connect with their brain as to why Valium relates to whim.
Yeah.
And there
It's
is no
just
relationship.
it's just,
But
I'm
what
the only one.
Well, you tell me.
I feel like I'm in a Rodriguez cartoon, you know, the guy
Oh,
sitting there,
no
or
wonder you-
Charles Adams cartoon sitting there laughing while
No
everyone
wonder you
else is crying.
misquote Einstein. Maybe you haven't got any. You don't have. What do they call that? Things that when your mind automatically automatically connects the round peg with the round hole. Tell me what. You tell me what is the Valium going to do with whim?
It's just that I saw an old woman at a funeral. She was in her mid-80s, and someone asked her, and she was the only one that was smiling in the whole room, and we went over to her, and somebody asked her what was happening with her, and she said that she was just kind of happy, and she asked her if she was taking anything. She said, "Oh yeah, I take Valium." And how much do you take? Oh, 10 milligrams, 20 milligrams a day. And she was just very happy, 80 years old.
Well, you made up the joke after that.
I made up the, so I...
That's your secret from now on. Don't even go near it.
All right,
Go
now that I have
immediately
finally...
to dental school. Where were we going? We were so rudely interrupted by you.
Since getting... Einstein said that we have created problems at this level of thought that we cannot solve at the same level of thought. I shouldn't have closed my eyes.
No, you shouldn't have. You should have closed your eyes. I left 45 minutes ago.
Marty?
I don't expect you to tell me. Okay, stay on course now.
If we create problems that we have to go to another level of thought to solve them, like the hippies created the police, and the police create the hippies, and like the police have something to do because of all the criminals, and that keeps them busy, that type of thing. So if we go to a new level of thought to
let me simplify the question.
Please.
Okay. But we came to that impasse there where I said it seemed like 4 minutes before the end, and you said 4 minutes before the beginning. That's where we are, which is good. I said that's nice that you say that. I don't know whether you're not being realistic or I'm not being optimistic. I don't know who's wrong here. But you understand that we could both be right in a kind of a way, because hard times bring hard... Touched me? Make a note of that.
Damn right. You were reading my mind, Marty.
I wonder if he dances well.
It just freaks me out when someone says the exact words. 30.
I'm 41. I should be smarter than you. Well, what's kind of great surprise, because I knew the answer.
No, it's not.
In about 11 years, you'll get my answer.
You were reading my mind. You were saying the words. You were saying the words as I was saying them inside. How come your mouth wasn't saying it? You were off on some kind of tangent in London. You were talking.
No, you tried.
I'm trying to listen.
You talked about hippies and things. Okay, that's the end. We're having a good time. We could.
All right, we're talking 4 minutes before the end.
Both could be true.
Yes.
Because harsh times, harsh measures and stuff. Even at the end of Rome, we'll say, my idea. I'm sure there were also some great last-minute spiritual revivals.
Yeah.
I'm sure there were great last-minute religious gasps. My God, it's the end signs, and that's what's happening now. Yeah. Who's right? I don't know. It don't look too good for me. It doesn't seem to be from the exterior smog and all that to the interior inside to what's happening morally in the world, to the balance between law and order and chaos. Don't look good. That's,
within your life,
we haven't had a balanced budget in the United States for how many millions of years? We can't even.
Is there order within Marty Ingles' world?
Within me, no.
Within your world, in other words, your universe as you see it from the inside, is there order there? Is there peaceful change? Is there elements for growth in this?
Okay, we have to say pre-breakdown and post-breakdown.
Post-breakdown is
all
I'm
interested in. Let's call it something else.
Now.
Breakdown sounds
let's just talk about now.
BD.
All right.
Pre-BD, post-BD. It sounds like it's
post-BD.
A prescription, right?
Certainly.
Post-BD. 2 post-BDs. Okay. Pre-PD, there was 50 million have-tos in my life. That was the worst word in my life, have-tos. Things I felt I had to do. I think we're all buried by that. I think anybody within the sound of my voice can do one thing to himself, is eliminate all the have-tos. Now that's rough to do, because have-tos come from society.
I have to.
Have-tos, right. My mother says I have to be a doctor. My uncle says I have to marry a rich person. My grandfather says I have to get rid of my pimples. My mailman says oh my God, you can go 65 million have-tos. Some are necessary. I have to obey the law. I have to be ethical and moral, and I have to do all that and professional. But I don't have to live in a certain neighborhood. I don't have to comb my hair a certain way. I don't have to speak a certain way. And I don't have to go to certain parties. And I don't have to do what they say on television. I don't have to be in Palm Springs for a vacation. I don't have to be dancing with a girl at Hugh Hefner's house. I can be sitting in a library somewhere reading about emissions control. There are all kinds of... It's very hard to eliminate them. I had a million have-tos. All the ones I needed and all the ones I didn't need, and all the extra ones that my mother and everybody else put on me. I always talk about mothers. My mother was a big influence in my life, in many ways, as all mothers are. Okay, I had to have a nervous breakdown. I had to have it all fall apart. Me. That is a very quick way of getting rid of the have-tos, because for a brief period of time you don't even eat. You don't go to the bathroom, you don't shave, you don't do anything. So that's a radical way of eliminating everything from your life. In a kind of a way, I was kind of lucky, because then I had the peculiar opportunity to start it all over again and say, let me see now. I know that I have to get the mail, and that's all I'm going to do today, and that's all I did that day. Now I know that I have to call this person. I'm going to call. That's all. I know I have to eat. So now, luckily, what I did, and I'm not sure everybody can do this, and maybe they can. When I pieced it together, there were no have-tos.
Yeah.
Still in my life, pleasure is not going to a certain party, not going to a certain interviews. What I have to do now is find some want-tos. I'm learning now what the want-tos are.
Give me some want-tos. We've got 2 or 3 minutes.
Very few, very difficult want-tos. I want
Academy Award?
No.
That type of want-to?
Well, I want to be a consequential human being. I want to gift the society with something important. I would like to, again, we're back to the outside. But I already have, I got the wife, the children, I got the love in my life. What do I want to do?
Will that be enough?
Here's a big want-to.
When you get it, when you get everything that you want, everything, the Academy Award, the recognition, the whole thing, is it?
The Nobel Prize was a
betcha.
good one too.
Are you, all these things, all right, and there you are, this incarnation is over with, or whether you want to, are you going to say?
Well, no.
No.
The inside has got to be there. I am going to therapy now, I said before. You know why?
That's exciting.
Not to get an Academy Award, but to learn how to enjoy and to express what I got already. I want to be able to look at Shirley and say I love you without making a joke. I want to be able to look at the kids that were not mine, but they were gifted to me because they were good kids, and I want to be able to put my arm around them and give them a kiss and say I love you. That's my want-to.
I honor the work you're doing on yourself, because I could have had that part of the conversation with so many people that I've met that are coming to like themselves.
Hard. It's hard.
Damn right it is. It's one of the hardest things. Why?
Because the rules out there and the what's the word I'm looking for? The rules, the values out there.
The have-tos.
The values out there are not to look inside yourself. Everybody's saying you got to get steel-belted radial tires. They're not trying to say you got to get self-esteem. If they could only have commercials on television for liking yourself and not so much liking a Sears catalog, we'd be home.
Are you going to write them?
Who?
You're going to put them on TV, or the commercials that
Sears?
you're going to produce going to be for liking yourself?
You know something? It's a hell of an idea.
Damn right it is.
If I only could find $7 million to do it.
So do you have.
Wait, hold it. Will you play that again? So do you have, so do you do. Wait a minute.
How? At the, I think we've got.
I think we've definitely got it.
Definitely.
I know. So that's a good one. You have to also go down and pitch yours out.
At the end, and I see on the back of the press release that I had that there are 1,000 things. There are 1,000 things that you are going to be getting into, and more projects than you could than one human being could possibly do in your life.
You know what makes it all wonderful, and you know what will probably make them all successful? And I say this every time I start a project, and every time I even drive, even here today.
Yeah.
I say to myself, if I turned around and I didn't do it, and I couldn't do it, or I wouldn't do it, or it didn't happen, will I die? Will I lose anything in my life that's important? And the answer always is no. So I do it, and it works.
Thank you, Marty Ingles.
Now can I wait?
Now we can wear them. We're off. That took. All right. Super.
Okay.
This episode of Reasonably Spontaneous Conversations has been brought to you in part by In Search of the New Compassionate Male. For more information, go to newcompassionatemale.com.